Okay. Hi, good afternoon.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
We are back, day 4 of our little chats.
Yeah, we're enjoying them. I hope you guys out there are.
Do you think anybody's
Let us
listening
know
to
if you're listening. It'd be lovely to know.
The thing is, I know that there are people listening to us because we've been told face to face and in person, but it would be lovely to hear your thoughts and comments.
Yeah, just a little thumbs up and acknowledgement. Yeah, I did actually listen to it. That we
Your
know.
love will
Yeah,
love.
it would be really nice to know.
So
Then
no.
we're going to talk about masks, aren't we, today?
Yeah, we're going to talk about our masks and the mask we wear throughout life and in different situations.
Yeah, the mask that we put on to the world. This is everything is perfect in my life. This is my perfect Facebook life, and and
Yeah.
then inside, maybe things aren't so great, but it's okay to share that. And yeah,
Yeah, and I said I'd be quite happy to take mine off today and have a bit of a chat about my mask and the mask I have worn over many years in different times, and we kind of came about having this chat because we were saying about the comments that I've had in the past when people have found out that I've had, mental health issues and suffered with depression and anxiety, which was first diagnosed 24 years ago now, is the fact that people say, "What, you? Like, you? Like, I'm not the right person?" Or I just do a really good job of putting my mask on.
then as we said earlier on, some of like a lot of very successful people have mental health issues, don't they? And but that's putting on your mask, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be an obstacle to being successful.
No, and for me, it's made me who I am. I've always said that. It's not something I've ever gone, "Oh, this is like something that is shameful or should be hidden," she says, talking about masks, but it's not. For me, I kind of think, and actually from a chiropractic point of view, I've always said that generally, and particularly as a McTimony, although over the years, it has changed. Actually, sort of 17 years, I qualified 17 years ago, so 5 years before that, 4 years before that, when I started my training, I was quite young. I qualified at 24, which in the world of being a McTimony chiropractor, certainly back then was younger. A lot of people were coming into it as a second career and life skills and what have you. And so actually for me, from that point of view, actually the mental health issues and things that I'd been through had given me kind of some experience in life that actually gave me an insight, and I think part of my journey as being a practitioner of experiencing that. So I've always felt that it was part of my story of being a practitioner and being able to understand my clients perhaps more.
Yeah, it does. And maybe you learn by when you've managed it yourself, and maybe you don't wear that mask for everybody, but you are selective about who you take it off for, maybe.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know that I've been in clinic in situations where people have opened up to me, and I can see that they, it's taken a lot. Of course, it takes a huge amount. I know that, for people to do that. And in doing so, I've then said, I know and I understand, and given them a little bit of insight. And so for them, instantly, they're like, oh, it's like, then it comes out, then they feel freer to talk, which, and so I've always been really grateful for that from that point of view.
I guess it's sharing your vulnerabilities, isn't it? And we do see that a lot in clinic, because when people come in pain, they're already a bit vulnerable, and we do hear a lot of stories that people perhaps wouldn't share with everybody. And I think that's quite a privileged position for us, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. I often say I'm very humbled with the stories that I get told. in clinic, and very much, with somatics, as and we've been talking about this week, there's so much sort of from an emotional point of view of what's going on from a somatics point of view. And anybody that's, taken the 2-day fundamentals will know that I rarely get through the end of the Sunday without crying when people share their stories and their takeaways with you and their experiences, and it's so humbling, and it's such a privileged position to be in when people share that with you.
And I do get quite emotional. I can feel the emotion now, like when people share their stuff. I mean, part of it is kind of like, okay, that triggers your own stuff, but there's also, wow, they are opening up to me, and I feel quite privileged.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a really big deal, isn't it? And I think that's, it doesn't matter what age you are, what walk of life you come from, what's going on. That's, everybody experiences some form of, mental health issues to some degree, even if that's just a low level stress. Nobody is immune to it at all.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that kind of takes us full circle in what we've been talking about in the week, isn't it? Is about the stress and about the mental health awareness.
Yeah.
And it's about, you're not on your own with it.
No,
or you don't have to be.
You don't have to be. And I think over the years, it has changed, and of course it is spoken about a lot more. And when I was very first diagnosed, I had no idea what was wrong. I didn't feel well. I just didn't feel well. I knew something was wrong. I didn't feel like me. I had no idea. It was nothing that was ever discussed or talked about or anything. And actually, I went to my GP first. I was 19, so you can work out my age. So I was 19, and I went to my GP and just said, I don't feel right. And I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. And she kind of went, oh, well, you left college and this and that and what have you, and kind of there's nothing wrong, and go away, really. That was it. And I thought, oh, okay. And it wasn't actually until, I don't know, a little while later, perhaps even a good 4 or 5 months later, I seem to remember that was before Christmas, and I remember going away with my mum and dad and actually being with them for like a whole weekend for sort of, all day, every day. They then started to see my behaviour, and it was actually then my mum that kind of went, something's not right. And so she then came back down to the doctors with me the following week, and I saw a different doctor, and that was when I was first diagnosed with the term clinical depression. Then I know the term's changed. And that was kind of the start of that journey. But I didn't know. I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what was wrong. I just didn't feel like
isn't it, that you didn't actually know?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So what helped you? What helped you to come out of it? And what helps you generally?
Well, do you know, it's changed over the years, and it's funny because from like back then I was put on Seroxat, which now I don't think is even used, and is not particularly pleasant medication at all. And I was on that for no longer than 6 months. But during that time, it helped me to get back on track. And I was working in outdoor education. I got a new job in outdoor education. I moved up to North Yorkshire. I loved my job. As soon as I was kind of there, and felt as if I was back in control, I gradually came off that medication. And then actually it was whilst doing that job that I then discovered chiropractic, and then decided that was the journey I was then going to take. And from then I kind of thought I was okay for the next nearly 20 years. I probably wasn't. There was probably highs and lows at different times, but I didn't perhaps realise until about 4 or 5 years ago when it really crept back in again due to a stressful situation. And then that came along with the anxiety as well. And again, at that point, I was put on medication for a short period of time. So I went on to citalopram for a short period, but then really, started with the things we were talking about. You know, I was really getting into all of my weight training and exercising at that time. I do volunteering, you know, so all these, you know, different things that we've spoken about that really make a difference. And certainly, as I said the other day, you know, the wakeboarding make a big difference for me.
Did you feel that it was worth taking the medication? Did that help you whilst you learned to then put yourself back on track? Because I find sometimes that people, they're struggling so much that actually, you know, no one's a great fan of taking medication, but it seems to help whilst they then put the other things in place to help them get out of it. Was that the case for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, knowing that those things were right, and I, you know, I know that those things are good things to do, but actually sometimes, and I think for me at that time, it was just like I was too much in that treadmill of it. You know, it's like being stuck on a roundabout, and you know what you need to do and you know where you need to go, but you just can't break the cycle. You just need that respite. You need that little opportunity of a door, and you know as soon as you can get to that door, you can make a run for it and you're good. You've got this.
And that's the drugs.
Something needs to open that door, and that's where the medication can do that, you know.
I have actually suggested that that's what people do, and I mean, you know where I am on recommending like self-care and things like that, but sometimes I have said to people, I think you need to go and get some meds so that you can make the start, because like you said, you're too much in your own head, and sometimes you need a little bit of a help.
You just need that. And I think you know, for me, I knew that it was like, do you know what, I'm trying everything and I'm doing everything, and I just can't get over that final hurdle, you know, of what I need to do. But still, all that time, you know, we're talking about kind of the mask you put on. Still, I work and I worked. You know, I'm you know, not been on medication now for 4 years, and again, it was only a short period. I've never been on it for a long time. It's just a short period to just get you over that hurdle. But you know, that mask is always there. And it was interesting because at that time was when I got the comments the most of like, what, you? Like, you don't fit the right category or whatever. And it's like, yeah, me, I am human.
Yes. Do you think that the mask actually serves a purpose? Because actually, if you were in the raw all the time and told everyone how you were feeling, that would actually, do you think that would make it worse? Do you think that like the mask helps us function so that we don't go too much into the hole, if that makes sense? What do you feel on that?
Yeah, quite possibly. And kind of that there's a having to and a need to, and as you say, you don't want to be kind of talking about everything all the time. And for me, it's been a very strange situation in the past, because it's been actually when I'm at home, I'm at my worst. And I think that's because you're then in those thoughts and in that time. Whereas actually when I have that being responsible for my business and my clients and all of those things, it's like, it's not about me anymore.
Just had a neurological thought, and that's unusual for me because neuro wasn't my thing. You know, we were talking about the neural pathways, and that what we want to do is to reinforce the positive neural pathways. And sometimes we have to like make ourselves do those. So maybe like putting on that mask can be part, and it's not always a good thing if you're just pretending to everyone else and you're not really addressing things, but maybe putting on that mask helps those positive neural pathways, because if we have it off all the time, then it's just all of the negative neural pathways.
You're just kind of living in that, aren't you? It comes back to that changing the story. You're changing the story, aren't you, for yourself, changing that perhaps negative perception into a more positive perception of it. So
because I find sometimes if I'm not in the right headspace when I go into my clinic, then I deliberately put myself in my headspace, and actually my patients sometimes help me to give me a lift, and I forget that I wasn't in a good space to start with because I put that mask on, and actually I'm okay by the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you can completely turn it around, doesn't it? It's like that, the people that you're around in your tribe, you know, that make a big difference to what's going on and how you're feeling. So yeah, our mask can be can be beneficial for lots of different reasons, can't they?
Yeah.
Beneficial, but yeah, there's often something that people are hiding for whatever reason.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And
Yeah.
I've been at home for 6-7 weeks and I'm okay. So I'm kind of liking this. I've got to like myself more over the last few years. So we're good hanging out together.
I've got to like myself doing videos of me because I never would have done that before.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm starting to like the sound of my voice.
What's our take home for today? What are we
today? What is our mask? Maybe think about, what is our mask? What are we putting on a mask? And do we need to put on a mask? Does it have relevance? And when are we real? And who are we real to, maybe?
Who are we real to? And yeah, there is no what you. Who you? There is no who you. Anybody can be going through it. So yeah. If you're one of those people, don't feel that you're alone, or you're weak, or I don't know, whatever the crazy things are we end up thinking. There's a lot of people in the same boat, a lot of people that experience mental health issues on loads of different levels. So yeah, there isn't a one size fits all.
No, definitely not. We are unique.
We are indeed. Oh, there you go.
I love these ramblings, wumblings, our wumblings. Yeah,
our wumblings, and making it a chat is just such a nice way of doing it.
Yeah, because actually we don't practice it all. No. We might have a vague idea, but a
bit of an idea, and then we see what happens.
Then we roll with it. So who knows what's going to come up?
Who knows? Lovely. Nice to talk to you, Tanya.
Likewise, Karen.
Sharing my soul, taking my mask off.
No, yes.
And I'm going to put it back on again from that. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Not stopping.